and right now is a strange time. Usually things kind of slow down around now because you've got holidays and hunting seasons and all these kind of things. And so bidding departments like to take their time off, and and as a result, people that go out to bid sometimes don't go out to bid at this time. Now, I don't want to say it's a bad time, completely bad time, because they'll still do it, but usually there's not this kind of competition, is what I'm trying to say. And right now, there's a tremendous amount of competition. And so it's kind of strange. I could look into that and maybe get back with you. I think I'd just be shooting from the hip if I said something at this point. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Byington.
Thank you.
We appreciate that presentation.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we move now to item 4B, discussion regarding board policy, CDC local, and GE regulation. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Kufal. So this had originally been brought to the previous board meeting. I've had a couple of conversations over the last month or two with Mr. Maddox about this policy and what exactly it means, and we had come to the conclusion that it needed to go to the board for more description because it was a little bit vague on what it had. So one question that we talked about was, is it just checks? Because that had been our policy since before I had been here. Is it just monetary donations, or is it also equipment and supplies and scholarships and everything else? And he said the way that your policy is listed right now, it doesn't really specify that really we need your input on exactly what you want to see. And that's what originally brought this, why I brought it to you last board meeting. And then of course, the board asked about a couple of other donations when we were bringing the policy the first time. And if you look at the very last page in your packet, I just want to point that out. That's not for this board meeting because it's not approval, but I did manage to get that big donation to athletics. I asked them to list it all out, and I'm going to bring it to next board meeting. That's all equipment that was shipped. There was no check or anything. It was equipment for each individual sport. Was asked by the Booster Club to put together a wish list. And then the Booster Club wasn't able to fulfill it, but there was an anonymous donor that was able to fulfill that, and they shipped the equipment there. And since then, I've talked with the athletic department, I've talked with that donor, and I've talked with the Booster Club that we need to be in the know about that cannot happen without us knowing, because again, you need to be in the know about that before it happens as well too. Again, we made it clear that we appreciate their support, but there's a process for this, and that we need to be in the know about it. And there was also another one that got me a second one for Acme Radiator. Both of those will be brought to the next board meeting a week from now. But I just wanted to let you know this isn't the policy that we're here to discuss tonight, but if you have any, are there any questions on any of those? We're going to bring them for next board meeting, but we met with the Booster Club and the donor and the athletic club on this.
First, I want to thank the donor. Whoever the announcer is, that's a huge donation.
Can you turn on your microphone so that way it comes on there you go.
Yeah, thank the donor because they made history with that donation. And I think, that's huge for our kids. But are we going back to, are we going to approve something that's already been ordered and shipped?
If that's what the board's wish is, I will bring it next board meeting for approval. It already arrived at the campus. Same thing with the Acme Radiator. Both of those would be post. The only one that you see that's pending, because again, as soon as the board brought this to my attention, I told them to stop, don't do anything else. And the one that hasn't been ordered then is the golf you see at the bottom. Everything else on there was ordered.
So who inventoried this stuff that's already?
That was the athletic department. None of that comes through us. We don't see that. It doesn't, we
It
don't-
gets shipped to the high school.
we don't
and then
buy
the
it,
other
we don't have
directors-
records.
So if the donation would have come to us for approval and given to the district, then it would have gone to our shipping,
It still wouldn't have gone to our shipping
even though
because,
it's in our, the accounts in our money. And then, I mean, it's in our possession, say, we're making this donation to KISD for this equipment, then we purchase it.
we didn't purchase it, they
No,
purchased
but
it.
I'm telling you,
Oh.
what if they made that donation?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
If they gave us a donation of money, yes, if they gave us a donation of money and then we purchased it, then it would come through our central purchasing.
Right.
Then we would take a look and make sure everything arrives before sending it over there. But if the Booster Club, they purchase it and it comes to them or they ship it to the high school, then it never comes to us.
So this was a donation to the Booster Club.
It originally was supposed to, but as it turns out, they shipped it to the high school, so
No, the donation was made to the Booster Club. The Booster Club ordered it and the Booster Club shipped it to the high school.
So the Booster Club placed the orders.
Booster
Oh.
Club placed the orders. They
Okay.
got the wish list from the
Right,
coaches.
right.
the,
You know, and I have a suggestion. I know
Okay.
you're saying you're gonna bring it to the board next week.
yes.
But if this has already been spent, maybe just moving forward, this is what we're gonna
Right, and
follow.
we need some
Instead of
guidance.
going back and saying, well, I'm gonna approve what we already spent.
Well, what I could do is I could bring it as a reporting item maybe to next board meeting,
Do-
and
do
then,
The way policy reads right now, it doesn't need approval.
Right.
That's the gray area that Nick's talking about.
Right.
So right now, bringing the 160, we don't need to,
okay.
we don't
It's
need to
just to be
approve it.
transparent.
Exactly, it'd be transparent, but you're talking about approval, right now, the way the policy reads, we don't need to approve any donation.
So you want me to
Right.
bring it next week as a reporting item, maybe?
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm just saying right now, but then when we change the policy, then it would need board approval.
And we're
Anything
gonna
over
need
$1,000.
We're gonna need some guidance on what is that gonna look like? Because it's not only athletics that we get donations for, or that our different groups get donations. So we're gonna need to be very clear about that and just also know about timing. You make the playoffs one week and boom, you're playing that next game. If they wanna buy something for the, the sports team, whatever it is, I don't know. Do we have to wait until there's a board meeting? If so, that's gonna be after the playoffs. So there's a lot of things that we really need to look at and make sure we have guidance on it so we can lead it appropriately.
As long as, like it says, under $1,000, I can see that, but
And I'd like for us not to reinvent the wheel necessarily. I think that there are probably some other districts out there that can prove helpful in this. Here are my concerns. Okay, some of these invoices go back to August 2nd, for example. Somebody ordered something on August the 2nd, and somebody ordered that based on a wish list. If the coach needed that for his program, had he already been turned down in the budget process? I mean, how do we know we're not duplicating? In other words, periodically, you're gonna have to replace some uniforms, you're gonna have to replace some equipment. And part of that's the budget process. And then now here comes all this other money, and maybe we bought some equipment or some jerseys, but Mama wanted a better one for her, and are we, is there a coordinated effort here? What disturbs me the most about all this is that there was no knowledge from admin on this. The second question I have is in terms of it being delivered directly to the high school or the coaches, I've got a little problem with that too, in that it's becoming property of the district. And how is that acknowledged by being property of the district if our central purchasing process is left out of the loop, number one. Number two, do we have a security problem with trucks just showing up to deliver something that nobody knows anything about? I mean, I don't know who would know that this was coming, other than I think we've got some loosey-goosey stuff here that just needs to be tightened up and controlled a bit.
For every department.
For every
club,
department.
Every organization,
Correct.
you know, because the band, they'll receive some instruments, from the same Music Mart or wherever it is that they order. Our auto techs, all of those programs, they're having delivery trucks come and deliver to their specific programs, the welding, all those. So
I
we're gonna
can
have to-
appreciate that, but at the same time, I think that band, the welding, those departments haven't come through us first and then shipped. I don't think we have donors for that stuff, do we? They have a budget, so they go by the budget, so
No, they
you
do
know
have
it's
some
coming
donors.
in and they know it's going. Most of the time, it's something smart. Do we still have somebody that ships it from the district? Here that drives to school?
We do.
Yes.
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the part also that I have a question on. That didn't happen, and it says we didn't have to have, policy says it didn't have to happen. But we got a lot of money from this anonymous donor, and I want to say I appreciate it. That's historical here. That's a D1 donation. That's big money. So my thing is, I wish that we knew who this was so we could thank them, The bottom line is not everybody has that kind of money in their pocket. And most people that make those donations have a board to address to first for, okay, you got that kind of money, then let's let them know, we appreciate it. Our kids are outfitted with what they have the best stuff. That's what the district needs to let those people know.
We've personally told them, yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate
We do know
that.
who the company is, don't we?
Well,
We do, but they want to be known as anonymous donor because they donated a lot to the rest of the community and other things as well too. And they say they don't want to do it for recognition. They want to do it to help the community.
So,
appreciate
you know how Brian asked about, the budget, that should have been budgeted for. So say for instance, we wouldn't have gotten that huge donation. Would the kids have done without?
They would have had to, just like
You
we've been
know,
doing
that's,
every year.
but
And how crucial is that?
I know, how,
I mean, is this,
don't they really need it? Couldn't we just put it in the budget come May or whenever they start working on their budgets?
I know we wouldn't be able to afford to add another $160,000.
No, yeah,
to the
maybe
budget.
not, I'm sure a lot of this is luxury, Sissy,
But they
but
would
you know,
have what they
the
need, right?
necessity.
They'd have what
They
they
have
need.
what they need.
And it's just like,
This is like fluff.
Yeah.
It'd be extra.
But
It's
are
nice
we
to
sure
have.
this is all fluff?
not necessarily,
Yeah.
because I saw some of the things that they
They're not
do.
gonna be
need
without
to be replaced.
uniforms.
No, they're not.
They're gonna be without
No.
So-
shoulder pads. They're not gonna be without-
The way that it works is every department has an allotment. And the allotment is based on a couple of things. Number one, it's based on historically what they've needed. Number two, it's based on the number of kids they have. And number three, it's based on, I meet with each principal and director according to their needs before the year starts. And then I put that into the budget and then I bring the budget to the board that's approved. So what they did in this case is once they get their allotment, they choose what is most important for them to get with their allotment. And they made their choices. And then after that, after they already saw everything that was going to be in the budget for this year, actually in this case, it was last year, then the athletic department went to the booster club and said, hey, here's a wish list of extra things that we would like to purchase. And then that's where
And it just
the
depends
donation
on each,
came in.
like baseball, I think, and softball ordered helmets, new helmets. Powerlifting ordered some dumbbells, some that they wanted. Track ordered those hurdles or whatever they are.
And the big high jump mat.
The high jump mat was probably the most expensive because it's deteriorating. So
that
it's,
was-
these are all things that it's kind of like our parking lot. Can we do without it? Getting a new one? Yeah, but it's, if we have some money right now and we can replace some of these things, I think that's what the coaches, they really looked at. I don't think there was any fluff. I think these are things, from what I was hearing, that they ordered. Some things let's take advantage of this opportunity right now because we never know when we'll have that funding again.
So the AD would never talk to you about all the additional needs that they had?
Only if there was something that they couldn't get that was absolutely needed. I don't know.
Okay, well, again, if we didn't have these donations coming in, no donations, the kids are still gonna have what they need. The track team
Yes.
is still gonna have what they need.
Right,
So
and
to me, well,
Yes.
so to me, it is extra. Yeah, it's nice to have extra, but as long as they have what they need, and I'm not saying I'm not for donations, but they're gonna have what they need, even if we don't have.
Oh,
But
absolutely,
it doesn't
absolutely.
seem like they had everything.
Because
They
if
didn't
this
have that
is-
map that was deteriorating.
If next year there is no donation, then
We know this is
Well,
last.
at least
we've
they
got
have
to.
this.
right, we've
It's
got
kind
to-
of like a track.
I mean, it's like the end of the.
We had a track, yes, they could use it, but, okay, when are we gonna say, no, let's buy one, invest in it, so it will last? So it's kind of, this is kind of like that. I'm trusting that the coaches were doing that and looking at what are their needs, and if they have the money right now, maybe this will last for the next 5 years, because we're probably not gonna get another donation like this. I mean, who knows?
Okay, so let's shift to another issue. The bicycles, that was clearly over $1,000.
yes, sir.
Should that have come before the board, before,
And go through inventory and all that?
I mean,
The way the policy reads that right now, we don't have to.
Right, but is that something y'all want? Because that is a donation of equipment.
Well, maybe just to get the recognition, I mean, but that,
But should we hold up that donation until the next board
like
meeting?
how far in advance do we know that they're gonna donate the funds?
We probably
Or
know
we might
that.
have time to bring it to the board.
That's, I would say we would have some time for that.
You're
Maybe
talking about the
couple weeks.
timeframe, in other words.
But that's
the
one of
donation
the-
came before
well-
board.
I'm just
I
saying
feel like
anything.
that's like a.
Right.
Letterman jackets.
Or something else.
Letterman jackets, we have,
and I
But
guess
this is
that's,
not a gift, that is a gift to the kid for, I mean, the kids.
because we had no discretion.
Right, I mean, was
we,
that
the
perfect
district,
attendance
Could
or?
say, we're gonna take these 100 bikes and while you thought they needed to go over there, we're gonna give them to these kids instead.
No.
It's, I mean, so I see that somewhat different as somebody saying, here's a check for $5,000, you use it as you want or need.
but they're not giving us money though.
I understand, right,
And they're not giving us money for bikes.
right.
They're saying, we're gonna give you 400 bikes for your district. And that they give us a good, about 200, maybe 200 bikes. So do we, I mean, somebody could say, we're gonna give you, 300 Letterman jackets. I don't know, it's just, I can't predict what somebody may come and donate. We just need to know, do you want every one of those things coming through central office and getting inventoried before they're, and also being approved by the board before they're distributed? Because
Just
it could be another business.
My opinion, when it comes to money over that, I think it's necessary it comes to the board because of the fact that for transparency
Right, we
purposes,
agree.
what are we going to spend this money on that this gracious donor gave us?
Right.
When it comes to equipment, are we gonna be nitpicky about every little, well, these bikes and auto, got, I don't know, a car donated, or we can't look at every single donation, or we'll, our meetings will be engulfed by, having to look through these things. I just think when it's monetary and, anything over $1,000, I think it's a good idea. It comes to the board, especially for
Yes.
transparency purposes. We don't say, well, that guy is only giving money to the athletic department because his kid plays and he wants to make sure that his kid has Nike cleats and then other people are complaining because the softball team they ended up getting Rydell. And I mean, I'm just saying,
Yes.
you gotta be fair when it's cash and we're making the decision on the purchases. As far as the coaches, I think it's important. Anything over 1,000, we should
I
look
think
at.
the other,
Just my opinion.
one of the other distinguishing characteristics is who actually owns this? The bicycles, obviously the kids.
Right.
It does not become property of the district. The stuff that does become property of the district, which I'm assuming is everything on this list,
Mhm.
I don't know that we need to hold it up for prior approval, but I think it'd be nice if it was reported to us. Because if we see that there's $160,000 worth of stuff that was necessary as opposed to not necessary, I think that impacts how we look at the budget next year to make sure that we've got, things covered the way they need to be covered. And the other bad example, and I apologize for using this example, but should there be a donation that was controversial, such as, what would you do if somebody wanted to donate 500 Bibles? That might not sit well with some people. Does the board need to approve that or not approve it before it, and again, I guess it would depend on, is it property of the district or not property of the district? I don't have an answer. I got a lot of questions, but I don't have very many answers.
I think if it
one
was
of
a
the things-
donation of 160,000, and yes, they decided to purchase this, and this was still enough, a donation up front. So I think that should have come to the board, and it's not like we're ever gonna deny it. I mean, it's money for the kids, I think. I mean, as long as we're just made aware of it, I mean, I'm all for the kids, whatever we need, and whether it's bluff or necessity, whatever, as long as, it's for the kids. I mean,
Help me figure this out. I don't understand. You're right. Jake is right. We take money, whoo, perfect. They give us extra money. Purchases that were done, this is where maybe Dr. Pitts can help me out with this. You have all these 8-4, but yet your invoice dates were different. It's the same company. I can understand if it was different companies, but why are the invoice dates different?
So I asked them that. So again, this is not from me at all. This is from the anonymous donor. So just clarify there.
Hold on. This comes from you or the anonymous donor?
This came from the anonymous donor.
Oh, okay.
So,
You don't gotta explain. I thought it was you.
no, but generally, a lot of, when I asked them some questions about this, they said that they put in orders and not all of the supplies were there at that time. So they shipped the ones that were there. And after they shipped the supplies, then they shipped the invoice with the supplies. So those were the ones that basically were in stock at the time. And that's why some came in at different times than others.
So I want to just say something. I think that a lot of this could have been avoided. I mean, and again, I'm not saying that I know for sure or not, but when reading the policy, I know it indicates that twice a year, the booster will come to you and give you a report. Did that happen prior to the start of the semester, or?
I've met with them several times, probably more than twice a year, but every month they give me a list of expenditures and a list of revenues. But it hadn't gotten to the point where this big donation had gotten to me. In other words, I think it's gonna be in the October, where they show that on their monthly register. So that had not gotten to me yet.
so why would it take so long?
I guess because they have not paid the invoices yet. So
But the booster, I mean, it indicates that, and the booster didn't exist, right, until this year, or?
This year.
Okay.
Well, we had one, we had to disband
Disband
the
it,
other
right,
one,
right.
and then they started a new one.
So then the report that would have come according to this for like fall sports come to you in the spring for next fall or whatever, and they kind of identified, or what the policy says that they're gonna explain to you, this is what we're estimating that we're gonna raise and all this stuff. Did that, I guess it didn't happen because we didn't have a
Didn't start.
booster club, I guess.
we didn't have a booster club till after the year had already started. But I have made it clear to them since then that I need to be in the know so that I can inform you of any type of donation, whether it's equipment or whether it is money, based on what you guys decide tonight. Do you want to give just any equipment over 1,000, or do you want to give a different threshold for equipment? Or in the end, it's your policy. You let us know what you would like to see, and we will write it in the policy, and then we will make sure that the booster clubs and even the Education Foundation, because right now, And the Education Foundation donates well over $1,000 in supplies and materials to all those mini teacher grants, and those are donations too. So I just
Last
want to
year
know.
it was about 20-some
And
thousand.
that might need to go, because doesn't that money go to the district? Because I know in our district,
Yeah, and
teachers
then
get
they-
their grants, but
Yes,
yet the
yes.
money goes to the district and they spend it that way. So,
Yes, so I just want to know what you want to see.
I just think just this is gonna be my recommendation. Anything that's monetary of $1,000 or more, I think it should, you know. But if it's equipment, like you said, just for informational purposes, just make us aware, like, you know, the wish list came through and the Booster Club was able to purchase $50,000 worth of equipment for these sports, just
So
for
it's not necessarily
information.
waiting to
Not
get
an
approved, it's
approval,
more of a
no.
reporting.
No, I think just,
And I think that Dr. Pitts, your office is gonna have to play a key role here, because what's concerning to me is that you've got items ordered in August. You're telling us that the payment was made in October.
By the booster,
By the
by the booster.
Yes, I would have
has
to,
it been made?
I would have to get with them to see, because it's not by
But
us.
here's my third point of that is that what if they didn't make the payment? Who then becomes responsible for all the jerseys and all the equipment that's sitting at the high schools being used by our kids? And so I think that you guys have got to be in the loop on all of this. And if something's ordered by our coach or thinking that it's gonna be paid for by the booster, there's gotta be some assurance there that really is. And again, I'm not disparaging this donor in any way either. I just think that we've got some procedures that.
Maybe we can tighten that in the regulation, because right now the regulation says that the district is not, it's not the responsibility of the district, and shall remain the sole obligation of each organization. So I think we need to tighten some of that, because it's true. I mean, we want
And I think
to protect.
if it was a donation to the booster, they should have given the money to the booster. They would have, deposited and then placed the orders to ensure that it got paid in a timely manner. Because this way it's true. What if they don't pay?
Mr. Maddox, can you comment on that, please? Like if the booster or another donor places an order and the equipment goes to the school or the district and it's not paid for, who is on the hook for that?
It'd be the boosters, but I think.
Yes, Dr. Pitts, so if a booster club is to invoice an order and the delivery, the individual or entity receiving is the district, it's going to be the booster's order and the booster's liability. If, however, the district places an order in trust on payment to be made by the booster, likely we would be on the hook for that as a school district.
And we would never do that. We would never place an order unless they actually gave us the money first. Right.
Correct. And board, to answer some of the prior questions, it's my advice just from a legal perspective that all donations, whether property or monetary or otherwise, do be inventoried by administration in a top-down fashion, because we are holding all properties of the district in trust of the people, because we're a public entity, so technically everything that a district owns is owned by the people. And so we have to have an inventory of those properties as a matter of law. So when we do receive a donation, it doesn't have to be approved by the board if the board doesn't wish it, but it is my advice we have some board policy directing administration to have inventory regulations for those properties in case you'll ever do one review.
Okay, so we get a lot of backpacks donated, a lot of school supplies donated, eyeglasses donated, Letterman jackets donated. You're saying all of those are gonna come through Central?
Is it all redistributed by the district once received?
Yeah, it varies. It varies.
But it doesn't become the property of the district. It ultimately goes into the student's hands. And that's different than
This is
jerseys or
perfect, yeah.
helmets.
So are
or
you saying
something.
equipment for the district?
Yes.
It
Anything
is gonna
that,
stay with the district.
correct, that the district claims ownership over.
So the bikes, getting 200 bikes,
No,
because we're giving it to the students, we don't have to worry about that.
Correct, because we're acting as a distribution to student property.
Okay,
We're
so
not
can we
maintaining-
make that clear on our policy? Like anything that's going to the student, We don't have to worry about it.
I would leave that to the individual departments that are distributing those, to how they run them. But if we're going to collect it at the end of the year or the semester, or it's money
Right.
that we're gonna take back, that has to fall under our inventory.
If, for
Right, that
example,
makes sense.
if, for example, a computer company donated 1,000 Chromebooks or something, that ultimately we're gonna say in the district, those would need to come through us, not, but if they were donating them directly to kids, it would.
It doesn't have to flow through administration. If you want to have regulation that has individual departments deal with it that way, that's fine
As long
too.
as they're accountable.
Correct.
We had years ago, selling these donated, I don't know how many computers, they switched up. And, they had representatives come to the mic to let us know we are going to donate this many computers to KISD. So, as far as bikes, letterman, I mean, we know when all that is supposed to happen. If it's attendance, whatever it may be. So, we have a timeline, and it shouldn't be something that tomorrow we're gonna do this. We have a timeline we follow in the district, so we know when all this is gonna happen before it happens. So, we need to get with these people that are making the donations to let them, I mean, it's good to acknowledge them publicly. Some, like, for example, this one doesn't want that, and I can respect that. But it's good to let these people know that if they went out and had fundraisers to do things for kids, then I feel that we need to get them up here, and we need to do the same thing we do with everybody else. Get them out there and acknowledge it. It's a
Okay,
big
but
thing.
you all want things, I guess I just need some clarity. So if they're gonna donate anything that goes to students, we don't have to bring it to the board.
Because kids are gonna
It's being
keep it.
distributed to students.
Okay.
So that'll include scholarships too, because those go to the kids. so we don't
Scholarships,
need
we don't
that.
have to.
It'd be nice perhaps to have a summary in the
And we usually do that.
superintendent's
We
report
usually
or
do that,
something.
But earlier today, you did mention that the Booster Club didn't place these orders, it was a company, right?
It was the company that directly did it because the Booster Club did not have the money and the funds.
So they still don't have the money in the,
Well,
the company is now liable to pay all these. So then,
The company would be the donor.
right.
yes, and the company is the one
But
that
she's the one,
placed the order.
the company's the one that placed these orders. It wasn't the Booster Club.
Correct.
And the Booster Club, they got the
So
money.
then why are,
It was an interaction between them.
okay. So then the
Transaction.
Booster Club doesn't have anything to do with this, really. I mean, if the company placed the
Well, the
order,
company people are on the booster club.
Right.
oh,
So it may or may not come through their reports.
What do you mean they're on?
right, because
What do you mean they're on?
That's a good point.
I guess the
Company,
company.
The donor.
The donors
Is on the Booster Club.
is the president of the Booster Club?
Yes.
We're not gonna say who the donors were because they wanted us to respect that. But the donors are on the Booster
Oh, I
Club.
didn't know that.
But in a vacuum, to respond to that question, there does need to be delineation as, does a donation come from the Booster Club or from a private individual, regardless of whether that individual is also involved in the Booster Club? You need to have
Yeah,
an understanding
Yeah,
of how this is working.
right.
Yeah, there you go.